I've been putting $300 a month into my stepson's college fund for the past 2.5 years. Last week, I told my wife I'm stopping until she apologizes for something she keeps saying to me. Now she's furious. Her family thinks I'm manipulative, and I'm sitting here wondering if I just blew up my entire marriage over words said in anger. Before we continue, your support helps us keep bringing these wild Reddit stories straight to you. So if you enjoy these AITA reactions, consider subscribing. It truly means a lot. Let's continue. I'm a stepfather. That's been my identity for the past 11 years, and honestly, for most of that time, I wore it like a badge of honor. When I met my wife, Sarah, I was 34 and had pretty much accepted that the traditional family life might not be in the cards for me. I'd had relationships, sure, but nothing that stuck. I was focused on my career in IT project management, had a decent apartment, saw my buddies on weekends, and lived a comfortable, if somewhat lonely, bachelor life. Sarah changed everything. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue, and I was drawn to her immediately. Not just because she was attractive, but because she had this warmth about her, this genuine kindness that you don't encounter every day. We talked for hours that night. She was upfront about her situation from the start. Divorced for about a year, single mother to a 3-year-old boy named Tyler, working full-time as a nursing supervisor at the local hospital. Her ex-husband had walked away after the divorce, moved 2 states over, and had made it clear he wanted nothing to do with his son. No visits, no calls, no child support. Just gone. I'll be honest, when she told me about Tyler, I had a moment of hesitation. Not because I didn't like kids, but because I'd never really been around them much. I was an only child, didn't have nieces or nephews, and my friends were all childless. But then she showed me a picture of this little boy with her eyes and the biggest smile, and something in me just softened. I thought, maybe this is what I've been missing. Maybe this is my chance to build something real. Our first few dates were just the 2 of us, but on our 5th date, I met Tyler. He was shy at first, hiding behind his mom's legs, but within an hour he was showing me his toy trucks and asking me to help build a tower with his blocks. Kids that age are so open, so willing to accept people into their world. I left that day thinking, I could do this. I could be a father to this kid. Sarah and I dated for about 18 months before I proposed. During that time, Tyler and I bonded in ways I never expected. I taught him to ride a bike without training wheels. I was there for his first day of kindergarten, camera in hand. When he had nightmares, he started calling for me as often as he called for his mom. By the time we got married, just before his 5th birthday, he'd already started calling me Dad. Not because anyone pushed him to, it just happened naturally. His biological father was never mentioned, never asked about. As far as Tyler was concerned, I was his dad. As far as I was concerned, he was my son. Those early years were golden. We moved into a bigger house together in a good school district. I adjusted my work schedules so I could do school drop-offs. Sarah and I fell into an easy rhythm. She worked long shifts at the hospital, often 12-hour days, so I became the primary parent during the week. I helped with homework, made dinners, attended parent-teacher conferences, coached his Little League team, even though I barely knew the rules at first. I wasn't trying to be Superman. I was just being a dad. My friends noticed the change in me. Poker nights became less frequent. Weekend golf outings turned into trips to the zoo or the science museum. A couple of guys from college who I used to see monthly sort of drifted away. I didn't mind, honestly. I was building something more important than maintaining those old connections. I had a family now. I had purpose. For 6 or 7 years, everything felt right. Tyler was thriving. Good grades, lots of friends, happy kid. Sarah and I had the normal marriage stresses. Money, schedules, who forgot to buy milk, but nothing major. We were partners in every sense. When Tyler was around 10, we sat down and had a serious conversation about his future. College tuition was getting insane, and we both agreed we wanted to make sure Tyler had options when the time came. That's when we started the college fund. We each committed to putting in $300, $600 total. It wasn't easy, especially with the mortgage and everything else, but we made it work. It was important to both of us. Or at least, I thought it was important to both of us as parents together. The shift was gradual. So gradual, I barely noticed it at first. Tyler hit middle school, and like any kid that age, he started changing. The easy, agreeable child who used to hang on my every word became a teenager with opinions, attitudes, and an alarming amount of sass. I expected that. I'd been warned by every parent I knew that the teen years were rough. What I didn't expect was how my wife would start responding to my parenting during those moments. The first time it happened, Tyler was about 11. We'd had a rule that he needed to finish his homework before any video games. One evening, I came home from work to find him on the Xbox, homework untouched. When I asked him about it, he rolled his eyes and said he'd do it later. I told him no, the rule was homework first, and he needed to turn off the game now. That's when Sarah stepped in. "It's fine," she said, her voice tight. "He had a long day at school. He can do it after dinner." I was confused. We'd agreed on homework first. "We agreed on homework first," I said calmly. She gave me a look I'd never seen before, something between annoyance and warning. My son, not our son, just hers. I let it go that time, chalked it up to her having a bad day, maybe a rough shift at the hospital. But it kept happening. Small moments where she'd undercut my authority, where she'd phrase things in a way that made it clear Tyler was her child, and I was, what? The outsider? The helper? When Tyler was 12, we had a bigger blow-up. He'd been caught cheating on a test at school. Nothing major, but still something that needed to be addressed. I felt strongly that there should be consequences. Grounding, no friends over for a couple of weeks. Sarah agreed in the meeting with the teacher, but the moment we got home, she went soft. She said he'd been under so much pressure that we shouldn't make it worse, that he'd learned his lesson just from getting caught. I disagreed. We argued about it in our bedroom while Tyler was downstairs. That's when she said it again. "You don't understand him like I do. He's my child. I know what he needs." "He's our child," I corrected her, my voice sharper than I intended. "I've been his father for 7 years. She went quiet, but she didn't apologize. We grounded Tyler for 1 week instead of 2, a compromise that felt like a loss. Over the next couple of years, this pattern intensified. Tyler, sensing the division between us, started playing it. If I said no to something, he'd go to his mom. If I set a boundary, she'd often soften it or override it entirely. And almost every time, she'd use that language. "He's my son," or "I know him best," or worst of all, "Don't get between me and my child." Every time she said something like that, it felt like a knife. I tried to tell myself she didn't mean it, that she was just defensive, that mothers have a special bond with their kids. But it hurt. It hurt because I'd sacrificed so much to be Tyler's father. I'd given up friendships, hobbies, time, money, not because I had to, but because I wanted to, because I loved him, because I thought we were a family. I brought it up to her a few times over the years. The first time was about 2 years ago. We were sitting on the couch after Tyler had gone to bed, and I just said it. When you say things like "my son" during arguments, it makes me feel like you don't see me as his real father. She sighed, looked uncomfortable. "I don't mean it like that. You know I don't." "Then why do you say it?" She shrugged. "I don't know. Heat of the moment, I guess. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings." If it hurts my feelings. Not "I'm sorry" or "I won't do it again," but "I'm sorry if," like my hurt was hypothetical, something I might be imagining. I let it go. What else could I do? I loved her. I loved Tyler. I didn't want to create more conflict. But she kept doing it, again and again. And each time, the sting got a little sharper, the wound a little deeper. Last week, everything came to a head. Tyler, now 14, has been testing boundaries like it's his full-time job. He wanted to go to a party at a friend's house on a school night, a friend whose parents I'd never met and who apparently weren't going to be home. I said no, absolutely not. He argued. I stood firm. Sarah came home from work in the middle of this argument. Tyler immediately ran to her, giving his side of the story, making it sound like I was being completely unreasonable. I explained my concerns. School night, no parents present, kids we don't know well. She listened to me, then turned to Tyler. "Your dad's right, not on a school night." I felt a small surge of relief. We were on the same page. But then Tyler pushed back, arguing with her, his voice getting louder. He said something disrespectful, something along the lines of, "You guys never let me do anything." I stepped in, told him to watch his tone, that we were his parents and deserved respect. That's when Sarah turned on me, her face flushed, voice sharp. I've got this. Don't get between me and my son. There it was again. My son. Not ours, hers. I felt something inside me crack. After everything, after 11 years of being his father, of sacrificing and providing and loving, I was still being shut out. I was still just the stepdad, the outsider, the one who didn't really belong. I didn't say anything in the moment. I just walked away, went to our bedroom, closed the door. My hands were shaking. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, trying to process what I was feeling. It wasn't just anger. It was grief. Grief for the family I thought I'd built, for the place I thought I'd earned. The rest of that evening was tense. Sarah handled the situation with Tyler, sent him to his room, came to check on me. I told her I didn't want to talk about it, not then, not when I was still so upset. She looked hurt, but nodded and left me alone. I barely slept that night, kept running through the past few years in my mind, counting how many times she'd said something like that. It was more than I realized, way more. And the worst part was that I'd brought it up to her before, multiple times, and she'd never actually changed. She'd offer a vague apology, act a little guilty for a few days, then do it again the next time things got heated. By Sunday morning, Tyler was at a friend's house for the day. Sarah was in the kitchen making coffee when I came downstairs. I'd made a decision during those sleepless hours. I needed to have a real conversation about this, a serious one, because I couldn't keep living like this. We need to talk, really talk. She looked wary, but nodded. We sat at the dining room table and I laid it all out. I told her how much it hurt every time she excluded me from being Tyler's parent. I reminded her that I'd been there since he was 3, that I loved him and raised him and provided for him as if he were my biological child. I told her I felt disrespected, dismissed, and increasingly like an outsider in my own family. She listened, but I could see her getting defensive. It's just words. You know I don't mean anything by it. But you do mean something by it, I shot back. Every time you say my son or tell me not to get between you two, you're telling me I'm not really his father. You're telling me I don't have the same rights as you do. The argument escalated quickly from there. She accused me of being too rigid with Tyler, of not understanding the bond between a mother and child. I accused her of undermining me constantly, of never having my back. And then I said it, the thing I'd been thinking but hadn't dared to say out loud. If he's your son and not ours, then why am I contributing to his college fund? Why am I paying for anything for him? If you're going to shut me out of parenting him, then you can handle his financial future on your own too. The words hung in the air between us. Sarah's face went pale, then red. "You're being ridiculous," she said, her voice shaking. "You can't hold his future hostage because you're mad at me." "I'm not holding anything hostage," I said, though even as I said it, I knew how it sounded. "I'm just saying that if you're going to treat him like he's only your son when it's convenient for you, then you can handle the responsibilities that come with that." She stood up, hands trembling. "You're punishing a child for being upset with me." "I'm not punishing him," I insisted. "I'm making a point. You can't have it both ways. You can't shut me out of being his father and then expect me to fund his college like I am his father. Either I'm his dad in all ways or I'm not his dad at all. You need to decide." She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Then she grabbed her keys and left the house. Didn't come back for 3 hours. By Monday evening, the whole situation had somehow reached our extended circles. Sarah had called her sister, who then called me to tell me I was being manipulative and cruel. My mom, who I called for support, was more sympathetic, but still thought I was going too far. "You can't use money as a weapon," she said gently, "especially with a child involved." "I'm not using it as a weapon," I tried to explain. "I'm still saving that money. I'm just not putting it in the fund until Sarah acknowledges that she's been hurting me." "But she doesn't know you're still saving it," my mom pointed out. "So from her perspective and Tyler's, you're withholding it." I hadn't thought about it that way. The truth was, I had no intention of actually taking anything away from Tyler's future. I'd already started a separate savings account where I was depositing that $300 a month. My plan was to give it to him eventually, once Sarah and I resolved this. But I could see how from the outside it looked like I was using the college fund as leverage. A buddy from work, one of the few friends I still kept in touch with regularly, told me to stand my ground. Dude, you've been raising this kid for over a decade. She can't keep throwing it in your face that he's not really yours. That's messed up. But another friend, a woman who'd been through a divorce, said I was being unfair. She's probably just being protective. Moms can get weird when it comes to their kids. You're making this about you when it should be about what's best for Tyler. Tyler himself didn't know the specifics of our argument, but he could feel the tension. He asked me on Tuesday night if his mom and I were getting divorced. The question gutted me. "No, buddy," I said, ruffling his hair. "We're just working through some stuff. All couples do." He looked at me with those eyes that were still so much like Sarah's. "Is it because of me?" "No," I said firmly. "This has nothing to do with you. You didn't do anything wrong." But I could tell he didn't fully believe me. It's been almost a week now since that big fight. Sarah is barely speaking to me beyond what's necessary. She's hurt, I'm hurt, and we're both too stubborn to be the first one to really give in. She thinks I need to drop the college fund thing and apologize. I think she needs to apologize first and commit to never saying those hurtful things again. But late at night, when I can't sleep, I wonder if I'm wrong. I wonder if I'm being petty. If I'm punishing Tyler for his mother's words, even though I swear that's not my intention. I wonder if I should have just let it go like I did all the other times. Kept the peace. Kept being the bigger person. The thing is, I don't think I can anymore. There's only so many times you can be told you're not really part of something before you start to believe it. And if Sarah truly sees Tyler as only her son, then what am I? Am I just the guy who pays half the bills and happens to live in the house? Am I just a convenient wallet? I love that kid. I love him like he's my own blood because in every way that matters, he is. I've been there for every scraped knee, every school play, every birthday. I'm the one to teach him to shave when the time comes. I'm the one he comes to when he needs help with math homework. But none of that seems to matter when his mom gets angry. Maybe I am being too sensitive. Maybe these are just words, said in anger that don't reflect her true feelings. But words matter, don't they? Especially when they're said over and over again, even after you've asked someone to stop. I told Sarah that I'm not putting money in the fund until she apologizes, really apologizes, not one of those nonverbal apologies she usually does. I want her to acknowledge that what she's been saying is hurtful and wrong. I want her to commit to seeing me as Tyler's father, not just as her husband. Is that really too much to ask? As I'm writing this, it's Sunday night again, exactly a week since our big fight. Tyler's in his room, probably on his phone or playing video games. Sarah is in the living room watching TV. I'm here at my desk, the house quiet except for the refrigerator humming downstairs. The college fund account still shows only Sarah's contributions from this past week. My $300 is sitting in a separate savings account that only I can access. I've already saved $600 this way, this month's and last month's contributions. Nobody knows about it, except me. I keep thinking about what my mom said. From her perspective, you're withholding it. And maybe I am. Maybe the fact that I'm secretly saving it doesn't matter if everyone thinks I'm not. Maybe the appearance of punishment is the same as actual punishment. But then I think about all those times Sarah shut me out, all those times she made me feel like I didn't belong. And I think, why should I keep giving everything when I'm not even recognized as Tyler's father? Sarah texted me earlier today. Just 3 words. We need to talk. I don't know what she's going to say. I don't know if she's going to apologize or demand that I apologize. I don't know if this is the beginning of us fixing things or the beginning of something ending. All I know is that I'm tired. Tired of feeling like an outsider in my own family. Tired of being dad right up until the moment it's inconvenient and then suddenly being reminded that I'm not the real one. Tired of wondering if I made a huge mistake by thinking love and commitment were enough to make me Tyler's father in everyone's eyes, not just my own. I've spent 11 years building this family, And now I'm threatening to pull back financially because I'm hurt. Part of me knows that's not the right way to handle this. But another part of me, the part that's been quietly breaking every time Sarah says my son instead of our son, that part thinks I deserve to be acknowledged, to be respected, to be seen as Tyler's real father, because that's what I've been all along. So here I am, sitting in this quiet house with a secret savings account and a wife who's barely speaking to me and a teenage son who thinks their parents might be getting divorced. So, am I the asshole?